Hello, my name is João Nascimento, and this is my fourth training video for the restoration management system. This video shows you some more features, starting on plant batches at the greenhouse. So every restoration project, probably will require planting of plants like trees, forbs, shrubs, grasses, and many greenhouses they produce their own plants, so the project can produce the plants that are going to be planted in a restoration site, and those plants they need some management tasks, so in order to grow healthy. And also in a project we have to know how many plants we're going to plant in every site or section, so this screen helps us to manage these issues. So here's a plant batch inventory at greenhouse. We can here add new plant batches in this button, add records, but I'll show you some record that is already filled. So here's a batch ID, just number 1. We have the scientific name. You can select scientific name from the drop-down lists. The species come from the plant species database, and invasive plants are not included here. Invasive or undesirable are not included in this list. So you can have initial quantity like 98. So you can select the pot size according to some commercial pot gallons, pot size, so you can change those pot size too if needed. So have quantity over winter, initial quantity over winter, dates the lot was planted, quantity available, and the day last updates. Here's the seed origin for these seeds. So in the next screens I'll show you seed location database, and then you know from where this value comes from. But just to summarize now, so this database controls the origin of each plant allocated to a site, and many states they require that native plants should be used on sites for better fitness to the soil, to the climate. And so what restoration professionals can do is go to nearby sites and collect either seeds or plants like cuttings and grow them in a greenhouse until they are ready to be planted. So and finding for plant spots can be really tough task. Undisturbed plant spots where you can be sure that plant is really local, and so it should be done every planting season. So we can record the planting spots in a database with GPS coordinates like latitude, longitude, so you can every year go to the same spots and keep track of where they are instead of just driving around and watching for plants. And once we go to a site, we collect, let's say, a seed bag, we relate that seed bag to a site, and then when we start a plant batch here, we can relate a plant batch to a seed bag, see here, and to a seed origin. So this way we can track the origin of all plants linked to a site, and also use this seed batch, this plant batch here in a site, we can say with high degree of confidence that those plants came from the site XYZ somewhere. So and every year we can select different sites to bring plants for the same restoration site, so we can add some genetic variety to a site even using local species. So next screens you see that, but this seed origins is related to the scientific name. I'll select the scientific name for the plant batch. It will filter the results, and then seed bags for this species. And you can also search here and allocate for projects. And here's a task for a batch. So you may also have a plant batch. You have to water, to apply fertilizers, or add some mycorrhiza if you need. Usually they are applied just when making the tubes, but you can schedule different tasks for a same plant batch. So I have cleaning, plant seeds, inspection, monitoring, mowing, planting, seeding, spraying, tagging, watering, weed whacking, and weeding. So I can select schedule task dates, a start and end date for continuous tasks, completion date once this task is done. So the restoration worker come here, type the completion date. You can assign an employee to do so. And comments. So let's start a new batch here. So let's select the same plant species, Achillea millifolio, that's common yarrow. Let's say we plant a tray. Usually a tray has 98 plants. Pot size, let's say it's 10 cubic inch. And date as plant, that's plant, let's say April 1st. The last update is also April 1st. Seed origin. So for this plant species I have only one plant site select, but I think I have more here. Let's say for dog fur. Yeah, so dog fur have different plants seed origins. Okay, I have the same or another one. So let's say use a different seed bag. Let's say 320. And then you can add some comments if needed. And then let's say you have here 98 plants available. So then save the records. We can also here plant task for a batch. Let's select inspection for 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and assigned for me. Then let's save this task. We can add another task for the same plant batch. Let's say we will tag it, but let's tag it first. That's only a little bit more than 1 week later. And let's assign for me 2 and save direct. And here you can browse through the tasks for the same batch. So if we try to browse different range, to say that there are no records for that plant. So and then save here again. And so now we can allocate projects. Plants for a project. Let's say allocate for Buttes native plants, section the Montana Trail, and this is on a site. Let's select a site which has a section, so Anselmo Mine and this mine drain. So let's allocate here 48 plants, and you see this quantity available be reduced. So let's allocate plants to section. So I get this message, plant allocated, inventory reduced, and you see here quantity available was reduced from 98 to 50. So you can also here in this button click edit, view plant allocations, and the last allocation show up here. So 35 allocation for the plant batch ID 13 for this project, this site, this section, this plant species, quantity of plants. You can select here date to plant and check on plant once these plants really go to a site. And here you have a different view for the same allocations. So you can also search allocations by different criteria, print allocations, in a report, export to PDF, and I can also do something cool. So we can return this allocation quantity to a batch. If it's found that it's better to rearrange the current quantities and return the plants to the batch, I can just come here, select the plant allocation I need, and return them to the batch. So let's return the allocation quantities to the batch. So okay, it disappeared from here, and if we close this screen, you'll see that the quantity available returned to 98 here. And then we can do another allocation for a different site or in different quantity. So this is the plant allocation screen, and let's jump to the next. So as you can select task for plant batches, you can also select tasks for facilities. So a facility may be a greenhouse, a hoop house, or a lab. It can be even a truck. So it's some resource we have to take care, either because there are plants growing or we need some maintenance for it. So let's set up here. Let's see if I think I have some tasks right here. So let's search for greenhouse. Okay, for the greenhouse we have facility. This is all tasks set up for the facility. You can select tasks incomplete or all tasks too, and some more tasks will show up. Let's see only the incomplete, I mean the test that should be done. So let's search. Okay, what determines if it's complete or incomplete is the end date. If an end date doesn't exist, so it's considered incomplete for the database. So for the greenhouse, may have this task like collect seeds, assigned for an employee. Recurrence, it happens like every week or every month. Comments and completion date. Oh, actually, the completion date's here. Okay, I remember now. To filter the incomplete task, you should click on this button here. So this is the criteria. So I can select here and click. So there's no tasks under this criteria or here. So it's filter only incomplete tasks. Let's go back to search for the facility criteria, and I can combine incomplete by and search by date too. And for this task, you can select a date, and you can also include resources for this facility and equipment or task. So you can include like labor, different types of labor or plants. We can add a new resource here. Let's say if you can collect seeds, you can select the type of resource, let's say planting supply, and let's say you use this, for example, herbicides, so it pulls out the cost per unit, the gallon. Let's say you use half gallon. And then calculate the total we spent, and then save it. And then it assigns the greenhouse and the date the resource came. Here, so this is you can add a new task like this, clicking the new button and select, let's say, for a truck, schedule well, there's not really task for a truck. Let's select a different, let's say for orchards. Let's say description, what we're gonna do in an orchard. Let's say we're gonna spray. Select sign it for me and sign for tomorrow. Start date and dates. And for here you can like add new resource. I'll save here and then add a resource. Plain supply. As you're gonna spray, you can add herbicide gallon, quantity, and you see the total for it. Let's say now I spend labor of my own labor, and let's say I spend there 2 hours in this task. So here you have another cost calculation for this task. Okay, and this equipment facilitates task setup. Closing the screen, we can go now to the seed mix calculator. I'll skip this notification mail to show you at the end. Let's show you now the seed mix calculator. Here we can create and edit or select different seed mixes used for planting large areas of restoration projects. So you can select up to 15 species for a seed mix with different percentages and desired seeds per square meter, and even assign sections where they are planted. So it calculates according to seeds per kilogram, data from USDA or from supplier, how many kilograms per hectare we're gonna need, and select an area from this drop-down lists, and it calculates right away how much how much of the seeds we're gonna need, and for this area, or for a user define the area. Let's start a new one. Okay, so see the species which you have here. Let's say you start a new one. We have this, and it pull out the data, seeds per kilogram. Let's try another one. Pulls out data, and I think this has, so it will fill out only if you have the data in the database. So okay, this one has to, let's work with these 3 seeds. So let's say we use like 5%, and here will be like 45, and here be 50%. So it totals 100%. Let's say we want 150 seeds per square meter. So this way we have 16.667 kilograms per hectare of these seeds for this species, and this much per hectare from this species, and this much for this species. Once we have, let's say we use in this section, which has this area already registered from the area management screens, so you know how many kilograms you're going to spend for this section. Or if you want to calculate, let's say for 1,000 square meter, so the system calculates you how many seeds you're going to need for this user-defined area. We can assign a name for it. Let's say test mix. Let's say it was made today, and then we save the mix. And later in a section screen, we can assign this seed mix to be planted on a section or polygon. So let's see here have the total kilograms for hectare, total kilograms for the section, and for user defined area. Okay, and you can print the seed mix too, and that's it. So thank you for watching, and see you next video. Bye. Hi, my name is João Nascimento, and this is my 5th video for the restoration management system. It's a training video, So you find here instruction on how to use the database. So in this video we'll talk about the seed collection locations, seed inventory, and budgets. If you have time, we'll talk about other features I have here. But let's start with seed collection locations. We click here on this button, and why the system has this feature. So for restoration projects, we may have our own plant batches, we may collect seeds or cuttings in the wilderness and then produce our own plants to be used in restoration projects. Also, some professional farmer or greenhouse can produce plants for others, and the source for these seeds, if they are going to be native seeds, should be from local areas. So usually people, they can just drive around watching for some plants, and in some spots probably undisturbed spots where they can find native species, native specimens around. But imagine finding plants in a huge area, a specific species amongst many other species, and sometimes they may be hidden behind the trees, and it's just too much time. So once you find a seed collection location, it's a good idea to keep track of where is it, what species can we find at this location, and the conditions, the stats for the area, if it has any disturbance or not. So every year, every time you need some seeds or cutting for that species, you can go there on the right time of the year and collect seeds. And this is a tool. Or for example, let's show you one example. So here's the species found at Achille millifolio, area Delmo Lake. But let's find for another plant species. I'll show you here another one. This one, then you search. So the system shows you the locations for a specific plant species we are interested. And here we have this kind of dog fur, area Delmo Lake 3, and then can browse through, clicking this button through the same. For the seed collection location for these plant species, you can find another one here, Delmo Lake 1, Delmo Lake 3, and then here you can type data from the landowner, address, etc. So it is, if you're gonna create a new seed collect location, just click here in this star symbol and open a full empty form to data to be input. So landowner can write Forest Service, address, you can type address, roads, XYZ, and city buttes, zip codes. Latitude, longitudes are crucial for that, because over a big area we do need latitude and longitude to be somehow accurate, so you can find not one species but an area where you can find many individuals for that plant, and then this guide us through the process. And this latitude and longitude should be obtained using GPS device. We can also add a KMZ map from Google Earth. We can add photos for these sites. We can record climate, soil, wildlife, fish. So I'll show you one of the first one, which is pretty complete. Okay, so then climates and BSK, the Köppen-Geiger climate classification. We can write data about soil, if it's good, has erosion, wildlife around like deer, elk, birds, or bears for safety purposes. fish, etc. So we have an idea how healthy is the environment around. We have this field here where we can write access restrictions like private property or public lands or dirty roads or road closed during the winter time. And the next is disturbance, road and campground nearby, so that means we may have some invasives or disturbance from people, or maybe specimens, plants coming from spots that are not really local. And any comments like no invasive species found. So here, according to this latitude and longitude, the system open us this map where we can see the seed collection points. The Almo Lake 1. If we zoom out, then we see that's close to east of Butte. Not so far. Okay. And once we have the seed collection locations, let's keep track of this Achille millefolium and area Almo Lake 1. So in the seed inventory, you can link this seed collection location for a specific seed bag. So if you come here some year and get plants or seeds from these spots and from this plant species, we can link a seed bag to this location. Okay, let's close, then see the next. Okay, next is seed inventory. So it's seed stock or seed inventory. We can type all seed bags we have stored and link the date of collection, origin place, weight, seed status, and cleaned. So if I filter by species, I can type here millefolium. Okay, it finds us all seed bags from this plant species, and as you can see here, there's 8 bags, and this is the first bag for Achille millefolium. So let's browse from different bags. So the bag number is here, and seeds plant species. So let's associate the seed bag, just as a demonstration, to this origin place. So the Almo Lake 1. So the system will open us as a choice only the places where Achille millefolium was found. So won't show here seed collection location for nuts or for other species, only for those where Achille millefolium was found. So then have date of collection, the weight for the seed bag, seed status can be collected, cleaned, or treated, the last update date, so you can keep track of how much seeds do we have. We can also filter by year, let's say 2009. So we have all seeds collected in 2009, and you can print here. You can print with PDF, but it makes a report with a bag code, plant species, collection date, seed status, weight, and updates and comments. We can also filter by plant species here, and you see like all seed bags from this plant species, collection date, status, and weight. Okay, and there are seed collection location from where the seeds are originated. Let's just jump now to budgets. In budget screen, we can calculate budgets for sites. In the first video I showed you how this database works with projects. So there is from the major entity, let's say in this database is a restoration project. And a restoration projects can be divided into different sites. They can be close, they can be far away from each other, but they are sites for a same project. And inside a site, we may have different sections, also called as polygons, which may require different restoration works, and then we can calculate with this. We can calculate budgets for every site. The budget is not set to calculate but for every section, because sections are inside the same site, and it's hard to really separate which work was done in the section east and the section west, because usually when you go to a site we take care of everything, or at least we take a look on other parts. So the budgets here are made for sites. So let's select, like an example, this project and this Missoula field site. So let's search for the budgets. I'll show you a budget that's already registered in the system because it makes it easier, but you can start a new budget here. Let's start one new budget. So start a new budget, and this budget is 19, and then we edit this budget. It's totally empty, and we can select the type, description, cost per unit. So how do we add items here? We select, like, let's say first one is labor, and the description is, so the supervisor have to take a look on the site before everyone else. So let's say the man labor hour for the supervisor. Let's say the supervisor spends for this site, let's say total. We can add, different supervisors many times here, but let's say in total is spent like 40 hours, and then it multiplies the quantity for the cost per unit and gives us the total, and we add it to the budget. See, and a new line showed up here, and the total and type of cost. So now let's say we have another type of labor that will be work study students. I'm not sure if these values are accurate and just examples. Let's say we use 4 students for 4 weeks, so it will be 106 hours total. And let's add this item to the budget and see here. And here's the grand total. The grand total is the sum of all the values here, and we can add, like, let's say consumables with mileage, truck travel. So let's say we spent like 100 kilometers. Let's put a little bit more on truck travel to the site. So there's a cost for the truck mileage. So you add again this item to the budget, and see the values increase. So we can add also plants. Let's say we use here sagebrush, lodge pole. Let's cost per unit. Let's say we use like 200 lodge poles for the site. Grand total is increasing, and we have service tools. Let's say we can add tools we expect to spend, like tools that be spent out, like say augers that wear out, or tools that just break or miss. You can add here. Let's say for this site you need at least one spade. So that's it. And here let's save this record. So this is the budget 19 from related to Missoula field, and have here this calculation, and we can print this budget too. And after some time we can restore these budgets to keep track of our expenditures. And I'll show you now another budget. Let's search budget for this site. Let's say this budget 10. Here you can browse for the budget for the same site. Let's use budget 10 now because it has more data. Okay, here you can see the items. We can sort these columns under different criteria and like filter and do many changes in how we look to this data. If we close here, we can also have a breakdown of expenditures for this site. Let's see, let's look to the same site, seminar test, Missoula fields, and let's choose a section here. So we can have tracks for expenditures for sites. Here you see how much money were spent in this site, and expenditure by section. I told you before that the budget doesn't go into section, but once we have scheduled tasks for maintenance, the system does record costs, a breakdown of costs by section. So this doesn't add on top of the previous budgets. Just a breakdown of how much labor and resource we spend on different sections, but we can't actually do a budget for a section, but also have a section can calculate how much we spent on this section, because we know that will never be accurate, but here we can have some idea. Here the expenditure by site, by type I mean, for this same section. Okay, here have a breakdown of costs for that section. And we can also have for a facility, let's say 01/01/2015 to December 31, 2018. For a facility can have also a cost expenditure report for the facility, how much was spent, and the task dates. Germination test is here. It shows us a show data already registered in the system. So let's type for final species. Okay, germination tests is a test we do on seeds to know if are they ready for germination after being treated. Okay, so it determines if the seeds are good to be sowed or not, because if we sow seeds that are not ready, we just lose them. So this is how we can make sure they have a good germination rate before planting. Let's see here. Let's try this plant. Okay, here Artemisia tridentada. We have different germination tests according to the seed quantity, total germinated, date, year collected. Let's find one. Okay, this has many records. Every record means a day someone inspected for seeds. And then here we can plot a graph. In this graph we can see how many seeds germinated after the test starts. So starting from 100 seeds, 94% of them germinated, is a total of 94. And here you can have the time span, let's say around 6, or maybe there's some days here before 6-10 days. Within 10 days 95% of them germinated. This is a test that in this case was good remuneration the rates, so they're good to be planted after time, and then the button is to determine on the graph results. And plant calculator, this is a interesting feature. Also have an area. Okay, we can calculate how many plants we're going to use on the area. So for, let's say we select a project, a site and a section, the system will get the section area in square meters. You can select, let's say, a different, there's no section here, syndicate mine, or let's say, and here I have the section area. So also have this, you can browse for different sections, and let's get one of more. Okay, this has a larger area, so you can do more calculus. So for trees, we can select the spacing, and the system will calculate for us how many trees we're gonna need to plant using that spacing. Let's say here we plant trees separated by 3 meters from each other, so we're gonna need 826 trees. Let's say we plant them like 6 meters away from each other, that means around 20 feet, so we need only 207 trees. For shrubs, let's say we plant 1.5 meter away, so this is the quantity of shrubs we're gonna use. And forbs, half meter, so this amount of forb. And grass, the spacing between grass chunks, let's say 0.75, and these are the many grasses we're gonna need for this area. And the total is, here have the total of plants in the area. We can also determine a user set area, let's say 20,000 square meters, and select our own spacing. Okay, and then the system calculates how many plants we need. You can also print those calculations. And to a PDF file. I didn't print here, but you can print. Close. There's also stratification tests. You can select stratification test for many species and type here. It's something very specific for the botanist. Have start dates, number of days, and test dates. We can. There is no test for this plant. Let's choose another one. So let's find some here that has stratification tests. Well, there are not so many, but let's just go back and then see, browse for tests. So I have 356 tests, and here they are. Test days, specimens, and comments. Here's also the 6-digit code for the plants. Okay, and also have the cut tests. So you can select the cut test for many plant species. And here they are. I will sort alphabetically. So we have, okay, Artem. There's some from dog fur, so I search by this plant species, and those are the cut tests for them, and here the survival rates. And you can also search by survival rates, like tests with over 50 and